What is happening, guys? Mike here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're finally giving some well-deserved attention to the reformulated offerings of Nostalgic Grooming. I know a lot of you have been wondering about the changes that recently came to this brand, the new formulas, the new products, all that good stuff. And of course, I have all of that for you right here in this all-new review. Alright, so this video took forever to produce. Not only is there a bunch of products to go through and test, there's a lot of information, there was a lot of hours I put in testing these things. I kept also going back and forth, really, if I'm being honest, on how I wanted to present the info to you guys. That's really what took forever. I kind of started the video, then I went back and changed my mind on how I wanted to present it. But what I'm gonna do here today is actually look at each one of these as kind of a new product, which, you know, they are new technically, but they are based on old things that a lot of you have bought. And so I know a lot of you want to know what the differences are. So I am going to be looking at them as new products, but I'm also going to be kind of infusing the information that I've been given from the brand as what the changes were. This changes from the old formulas to the new. What I did get sent by them to review for today was just the permanent offering, so none of the limited stuff or the seasonal stuff. I don't have any information on that at this time. What I do though have information on is the clay, the moonpaste, the water-based pomade, the super water-based pomade, and the new oil-based pomade. We do got a lot of information to cover though, so let's go ahead and jump right into it and start with the clay, which according to the brand got the largest transformation out of all the new formulas. The Nostalgic Grooming Clay is a water-based clay pomade that offers a low shine and nice pieced texture. It also features a smooth blended scent with notes of redwood, cedar, amber, and vanilla. According also to the brand, the clay now features a super easy scoop and is designed to provide a loose, textured, pieced together look. It no longer has that slickness to it, they say, and according to their suggestion, you can use it on dry hair or towel-dried hair. Of course, I didn't go the route of damp hair or towel-dried hair because I actually wanted to see what this product could do. And on top of that, I just don't personally get results with clays in damp hair. And so I did use it on dry hair. We can see that here. As I added into my hair, what I found is that this can be a nice little versatile styler. And what I mean by that is if you use less, you can get a lightweight sort of loose style, which is nice for some days, some of those lazy days, or even those days where you want the look to be more messy. If you use more, like 3 to 4 scoops, you can increase the hold and really get a look at that pieced texture, that super nice separation that this clay can offer. You do get a bit more shine when you do this, but the trade-off I think is a fairly solid style. Now in regards to the endurance, since we do have quite a few products to look through today, I jumped ahead. I skipped the 4-hour endurance mark that I usually do and just jumped straight ahead to 8 hours to give you guys a look at end of day results, and I did that for each product here. And I'd like to mention that during each endurance test that I did for the entire week that I was testing these, it was extremely hot. It was like 100 plus each day, which I know some of you deal with all year round, which I don't know how you guys do that. It was miserable here during the week that I was testing this. And let's take a look at the clay here and check in on that style. And actually, I don't think it looks horrible. I've definitely seen worse here, especially if you consider the temperature. It was really hot. I for sure think it's obviously left my hair. That's quite obvious, especially if you compare it to the starting style. But again, it was super hot. I think it just kind of melted out of there. Some of the clays still remained though, so it's not a total loss for sure. And actually, given the situation, I don't think it looks as bad as it could. Now though, let's move on to the water-based pomade. This, according to the brand, was reformulated to improve the scoop, and beyond that, it offers a medium hold in either a clean-cut citrus scent, which I love, or the fruit scoop scent, which I also love, to be honest. Now, if you used this product in the past, you know how thick it was. I think it's safe to say it's definitely gone through a change here. It's much easier to scoop. It's still somewhat thick there, but now it's kind of spongy and soft, and when you get it out and into the hand, you don't really have to apply much pressure at all really to get it to break down. Moving on to the demo here on this one, we are going to follow the recommended use instructions of applying small amounts, but I am using dry hair here again. You can of course use damp hair, but I really wanted to demonstrate how slick and smooth this formula is, and as you can see, I'm having zero issue applying this to dry hair. Really, in the end, it doesn't matter anyway because it makes it look kind of damp, so I feel like I get better hold this way, so that's why I kind of ran with it. And there's also that little point of getting no hardening when you use it on dry hair versus damp. But just like in the past here, there's more control than hold, at least in the traditional sense. The oils and the ingredients really help to control it rather than relying on waxes to really hold it in place. This makes the hold a bit on the lighter end, if I'm being honest, but it sort of compensates with the control, so you're still able to get a nice and polished style in the end. Moving straight along here to 8 hours in on this same style, and as you can see here, it did somewhat evaporate, but really not too much. Those oils are still very much present, and it's helping to keep that style sort of in shape. Overall, again, I think it really could be worse considering it's 8 hours and it was really hot. So really, that's not too bad, but let's keep this thing moving here and look at the super version of this pomade. The Nostalgic Grooming Super Water-Based Pomade is obviously a super version of what we just saw, and this new formula aims to do that again with a firm hold and an easier scoop. Looking inside the jar here, we can see for sure it is an easier scoop. That's just very obvious to me. It's a very nice scoop, actually. The old one was much harder to scoop out. It's still thicker, I think, than the standard water base. Breaking it down in my hand, though, I think this one is a bit less oily than the standard water base, which works really well when you style with it. And again, we're going with dry hair. And this time I went with dry hair to get the better hold and to show you guys that even the super formula can be easily applied in this fashion because it's still slick enough to add even to dry hair. Really, it applies like butter and it just stays nice and slick. Again, I do think there's a bit less oils there. The brand actually said it was made with a bit more wax this time and less mango butter, and I think that really leads to a strong and sturdy performance, and that's pretty much what I'm seeing here. That being said, I'm not sure for me it really enters into the realm of a firm hold, but it's close for sure, and that hold and stickiness really leads to a nice and easy final style. Transporting in time here, 8 hours in, I think it looks pretty much like what we saw with the standard water base, just a little bit better, really. There's more hold there for sure at the end of the day, which means I lost less, obviously, and therefore there's more left to restyle with, and so I'm actually pretty satisfied with this result. I think for my thick hair, this one worked a lot better. Now though, let's talk about the moonpaste. This is actually based on the original moonpaste release and is a medium hold natural shine paste that I was told was changed similarly to the way the pomades were changed to include more wax and less butter for an overall less greasy feeling in the hair. The consistency on this one I think is really nice. It's smooth, thick, creamy, pasty. It's just a really satisfying consistency. It breaks down nice and smooth, and one thing that this has that kind of sets it apart is this actually has a bit of stickiness to it. Now, I don't think I need to tell you how I'm going to demo this. You probably guess already, and as I added in here, I was expecting it to have more hold since it does have a little bit of stickiness to it, but instead it was fairly light. It actually kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. I felt like it was going to be one way in the hand than when it actually entered my hair. I do think it has a bit more texture there to separate it from the pomade a little bit, which is nice, but the volume is a bit low, so I kind of feel like that's a trade-off there. Even with 3 scoops in there, it does feel really lightweight though, which is kind of surprising to me. It's not light enough that it's non-existent, but a lot of that initial stickiness and tack has immediately lifted. I am, however, able to get a pretty nice loose style that's both relaxed and held together. I actually do kind of like how it looks here, to be honest. Now though, let's look at this at the end of the day. This was right around 8 hours like the other ones, and I think it looks pretty much the same, just with the air let out of it pretty much. The product has for sure evaporated, probably melted some in the sun. There is a lot more shine there, a bit of oiliness too, but as I comb it out, I can still feel a tiny bit of strength in there, so it hasn't fully left, and again, we are talking about 8 hours on a very hot day. Now though, let's talk about our last product, the oil-based pomade. I am told by the brand that this was made as kind of a merger of the firm and medium oil base that were previously part of the line. This is a petro-free formula too that offers its own medium hold and a new scent that consists of bergamot, mahogany, and musk. This product actually, out of all the ones I looked at, surprised me the most in the consistency. I expected this to be much harder to scoop than it actually is. It's quite thick, of course, but it's really not bad to scoop out. And when you break it down, it doesn't take a lot of pressure to get it to break down. And when you do, that nice and oily finish that's indicative of this type of product really comes out. Also, the top layer of the product is very different than the rest of the jar. The top layer is a bit waxy, and then as you get past it, it actually kind of feels a bit like the water-based pomade with that thick, smooth consistency. Now, as much as I'd like to tell you I use this in dry hair as well, I actually used damp hair on this one. I actually found that it didn't matter in the end. I tested both and got pretty much the same thing. But since I almost always use oil-based pomades on damp hair, I decided to just keep going with that and do that here. Adding it in is everything we'd expect from an oil-based pomade, really, which is saying a lot here because this doesn't have any petro in it at all. It's not mist. It's really super intuitive, actually, in the styling. And I think for that reason, it really stands out for me in the line. It's sticky enough for easy styling and slick enough to really keep it all together when you're done styling. It's just a really nice and easy styler. Looking at this one at the end of the day, I think this was probably the easiest endurance test to check out as well. It's for the most part still put together, even in the heat it was exposed to. There was some minimal movement going on there, probably just some minimal melting that I think from the hot sun. I do think for the most part though, it actually held up pretty well for 8 hours in, and again, not to mention that heat. We can still see that it has some life left in there too, even after this long. So restyling is very quick, very easy, and I think this one really did well at the end of the day. All right, we made it. That was quite a bit to go through, but let's talk final thoughts here so we can close this thing out. I know it's going a little bit long. The clay, I think, is not bad, you know, really for a clay pomade. I think people need to remember, though, the difference between a styling clay and a clay pomade. Clays, for the most part, are texturous, dry, you know, you get all that volume. Clay pomades can have some of that, really, but most of the time they have a bit of shine there. They're not a matte finish, which is what we get with standard clays, and that's what we have here. It has a good helping of shine to it, but that separation is just killer. I just love how it creates that separation, that piece together look in the front there. The hold though is a bit lighter than I'd really like, if I'm being honest, but the washout really wasn't bad. One shampoo really had it out of my hair, no problem at all. Done deal. Next, the water-based pomade, and then the super water-based pomade. We can kind of combine those there. The standard water-based was obviously lighter for me. I mean, it's gonna be lighter than the super, but I mean, it was a lot lighter than I remember the old water-based being. And for me, the super water base was a lot easier to style with because it had a bit more hold. And that's something that I need with my thick hair. I just, when it comes to pomades, I need a good helping of hold. I don't think it was quite a firm hold. I do have thick hair and that might have a part to play in that, but I really did like the way that it styled between the two. The super was by far my favorite. I just really enjoyed how slick it was, how easy it was to style with, and I think it did fairly well in the endurance test as well. The washout on each of them too, I thought was pretty easy. They both actually rinse out and leave your hair feeling nice and soft, but I found one shampoo was fully needed in each one, which still qualifies as easy in my opinion. The moonpaste though, that one was tough for me. Honestly, it was kind of tough for me to judge. I love the scent. I love the consistency. I really like that scent. And I really liked the way that the style at the end looked, but I feel like it just lifted out a lot and it just really deflated rather quickly, and the hold was just a lot lighter than I'd like it to be. But again, I have thick hair. That's just how things roll. Not everything is going to work in my thick hair. So if you've got thinner hair than me, finer hair than me, I know you guys are gonna have a better experience than I did. The washout though, pretty much the same. One shampoo, no problem. I have no complaints with the washout pretty much on any of these, really. Lastly though, let's talk oil base. I actually quite enjoyed this one. I thought it was really nice. For this type of product, the non-petro oil base, which we see popping up a lot in the pomade community lately, I think this one was especially well done. It's just a really nice and slick styler. It practically styled itself, in fact, and even though it's petro-free, it really just doesn't miss a beat at all in my eyes. It's every bit of everything that we expect out of an oil-based pomade. And again, I just think it was really well made. Getting it out of the hair though was a bit of a challenge. Not as much though as a standard petro oil-based pomade. It took about 2 rounds of shampoo or 1 round of the conditioner method to get it out, which is why I said I don't really have an issue with the washout in any of these products, because most oil-based pomades put you through the same stuff. Altogether though, I think as far as strengths go, this line seriously has some of the best scents in the business. The scents are just, they're so spot on. They're so well blended. The percentages are always so nice. They're not overwhelming in the hair. And I mean, you can just open up any one of them I mean, ugh, they're just so good. I feel like their scents are just seriously some of the best. I also think some of the products like the super water-based and the oil-based pomades were really nice to style with, and they have some great feature to offer pomade lovers. The clay too has its own positives with that separation, the nice little pieced together texture there. Overall, I think hold is probably the only point of criticism here. That just kept coming up in my head with the majority of the products, you know. I just wish the hold was a little higher on all of them, really. Again, I have thick hair and I do rely somewhat on hold, so I just look at this and I just think to myself, I just wish the hold was a little bit higher. That's it. I just want a little bit more hold, and I think that would just take it all the way to the next level. That being said, once again, your hair is different than mine. If you have a different hair type than me, you are bound to have a different experience, which is why I still offer everybody the chance to try these out, form your own conclusions. That's really what it's all about. And if you'd like to check out the Nostalgic Grooming lineup, I will put a link in the description there. And if you enjoyed this video and checking out these products with me, make sure you drop me a like and subscribe if you have not already. I really hope you found this video helpful. I enjoyed checking it out, spending an entire week figuring out these products. So make sure you drop me a comment. Let me know which product was your favorite. I will, of course, be back with you guys again very soon with an all new video. And until then, you take it easy. I'll see you next time.